Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on which part of the globe you are currently in. Welcome to ISSMGE Technical Committee 222 6th online workshop. We are very happy to have you joining us. And today is a very special workshop because we are having guests from other technical committees and communities around the globe who are also working on digitalization of ground engineering and geotechnics. So my name is Jelena Ninic, and I'm core member of this technical committee. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you a brief introduction of our technical committee and the work that we have done so far. And then we are going to proceed with actually motivation for this technical committee, which will be given by our co-chair, Mickael, who is with me on the call. With that, Hi, Mickael, how are you?
Fine, thank you, Jelena.
It's good also to get the feedback that you can hear me. So after that, we are going to proceed with our technical presentations. We are going to start with our chair, Magnus, who is going to introduce more in detail Technical Committee 222 on BIM and digital twins in geotechnical engineering. And then we are going to have a talk by my dear colleague, Vojtech Gall, who is going to present work of ITE, Working Group 22 on BIM for tunneling. And then we are having a presentation of our colleague from ISSMGE Technical Committee 309, Zhongqiang Liu. And this is the technical committee on machine learning that goes hand to hand with BIM and digital twins in geotechnical engineering. And I'm sure there will be a lot of opportunities for collaboration between our two technical committees. And then we also have Professor Ehua Ju, who is going to introduce technical committee JTC2. And after that, we are going to have a panel discussion at the end where I would like to invite all speakers, but also everyone who is interested from the audience to join and ask questions. And before we start, what I want you to do is I want you to take your phones and scan this QR code, because what we would like to do is to have also some interactions with the audience here to ask questions and to our speakers, and maybe also to ask some general questions that we will be able to address later on during our technical discussions. So with this, I will just give a brief introduction of the work that we have done in past 2 years within this technical committee. So far, we have organized 5 workshops. And first, we started in September 2022, where the core team of this technical committee was talking about different aspects of digitalization in geotechnical and ground engineering, from practical design points like parametric modeling and use of BIM for efficient design, then standards for geotechnical engineering and the data structures. We were talking also about trends in research, and also Rømoen was talking about mega projects and actually BIM and digital twins in practice. Our second workshop focused on frontiers in research in digital engineering and geotechnics, where we were talking about also implementation of sustainability aspects for optimal sustainable design. Georg gave a presentation on developing scalable and generalizable data structure, and Richard, who also was talking about some high-level applications on mega projects of cutting-edge digital technologies in ground engineering. In our third workshop, we have overview of standards for geotechnical data, including AGS, DIGS, IFC, and also OGC. And then we had a series of workshops where we were talking about national geotechnical databases and asset registers. In the first part of this workshop, we had representatives from PGI, then Dong-Sri from Institute of Mountain Hazards and Environment in China, Rob from TNO, and Ben Gilson from Noir in the UK. Because many countries have their own efforts and a long history of developing data structures. We had the second part of this workshop, which is chapter 2, where we invited further speakers from BGS, JTK, Swiss Topo, and Civil AI to also look at different practices. What you can see at the bottom are links to available workshops on our YouTube channel. And this all led us to today, where we talked about general overview. We talked about data structures. We talked about databases and across the world. We also talked about research, but now let's see and meet the community, a broader community who is also working on different aspects of implementing cutting-edge digital technologies into geotechnical and ground engineering. And with this, I'm going to pass to Mickael to introduce the scope of today's workshop. Please, Mickael.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm very happy to be here with you for another exciting ISSMGE TC222 workshop. As Jelena say, we had opportunity to meet a lot of people working on topics like the one we address here, and there was a fact that well, we are not the only one to try to foster community, have everyone working together. So the idea was with this workshop to look at it. If you can go to the next slide, please, Jelena. Yes, so here are the people that will come. Sorry, back to the first one I showed you. You were on it. The people we have, if you can go back way,
Okay,
Jelena.
sorry.
So my bad. So people from today from other international working groups that both addressing the topic of geotechnics, tunneling, and advanced digital technology. So as I said, TC222 is not the only one to do that. We are even the youngest to try to achieve that. And so the idea was to try to get advantage of the successes, advice of experience from other contribution, other people that work on it, and also look for collaboration. So that's the main idea. And if you can go to the next one, Yena, please. Thank you. You have here the panel of today workshop. The order will be a bit changed. Magnus will offer us the first presentation with TC222, and then we will hear from the other working groups that will have opportunity to introduce themselves. If you go to the next slide, why we wanted to do this? Well, that's as I said, we are not the only one to try to connect the people, foster the people, and work together. And what we wanted to avoid is what we try to represent on this picture to say, okay, we are not the only one to work on this, and what we could do is be aware of what the others do and probably try to work together and to have something that more effective and more efficient and that will be really helpful for the community, So the program for the today, if you go to the next slide, please. Well, some objective that we will try to go through, get to know each other. You may have not heard about some other groups. So we will meet and discover what the others are doing, what are their positions, look for complementarity. We will both learn and try to figure what we can do, and of course share efforts, figure if there are people that may be interested in joining our group, if it could be interesting to join other groups. So that's the plan for today, and we hope this will be a very exciting presentation. Next slide. The way we wanted this presentation to be done, we will give the opportunity to everyone to speak. When I say everyone, to the speakers, of course, with a self-introduction, presentation of what their group do currently, what are the plans, what are the success they get, how to contribute, how is it possible to join this group for people that may be interested in that. And then the most exciting part is possibility of collaboration with other groups. So the idea is, well, please share your vision proposal for possible collaboration, and we will see if we can have fun together, a big party about geotechnical data enhancement, management, and use of advanced technologies. So here it is. I propose to start the discussion, the presentation, and the first one will be Magnus. Hope you are here, Magnus.
Magnus, yes, can you please share your screen?
Thank you, Mickael and Jelena.
Okay.
I will share my screen. You can see it?
Yes.
Yeah, we can see you, Magnus, even better.
So put me on the screen. That's good.
You know it works.
Yeah, that's good. That's brilliant. Yeah.
Please.
Okay, so thank you. I have the pleasure of starting this workshop with presenting the technical committee that I'm chair of. It's the TC222 of ISSMGE. To start off, I think it should say a few words about what ISSMGE is. It's the International Society for Soil Mechanics and Geotechnical Engineering. We have the ISSMGE has 90 member societies or national bodies and around 20,000 individual members. And ISSMGE has for a long time organized a lot of its work through these technical committees, and in total it's 37 different technical committees. 7 is working with the fundamentals, 21 with applications, and 9 with the impact on society. And the full name of TC222 is Geotechnical BIM and Digital Twins, and we are one of the 21 working with the applications. And later today, Zhongqiang also will present the TC309, as Jelena and Mickael mentioned, which is machine learning and big data. So short about TC, it was initialized back in December 2020, so we are a fairly new technical committee. It was accepted by the ISSMGE board in the spring of 2021 and was officially communicated to the ISSMGE society in November 2021. The core team had our first meeting at the end of 2021, so we've been operating for a little bit more than 3 years. And we had then our first workshop, which Jelena presented earlier, in September 2022. So who are the core team? You already met our vice chair, Mickael, which is working for BRGM in France. You also met Jelena, which is nominated by TC Chair, and she's associate professor at the University of Birmingham in UK. Then it's also my former colleague here in Enja, Norway, Mats, which is now working for Evni here in Norway. And we also have Rømoen, which is part of the core team, which is working for Geotechnical Engineering Office, or GEO, in Hong Kong City, in Hong Kong. And if you want to contact any of us, I think the easiest is to find us on LinkedIn, just add us there. Or we also have a contact form on the ISSMGE webpage, which is possible to use for contacting us. I will share a link to the ISSMGE webpage and our homepage there later in the presentation. So back to the purpose of why we wanted to start the TC back in 2020, 2021. It was important for us to provide a platform for sharing and exchanging knowledge on BIM and digital twins within geotechnical engineering. We saw that in the conferences within the ISSMGE society, it wasn't much talk about the digital part of geotechnics, but a lot of talk about the more traditional parts of geotechnics. This had, of course, been changed a little bit a few years earlier when the machine learning TC that Zhongqiang is going to present was established, but we saw that there was a clear need for more digital geotechnics within the society. So back in 2021, we set up some planned key activities that we wanted to work with. And the first one was to host workshops, webinars, and symposia to promote cooperation and share best practice within the not only ISSMG, but also the entire geoscience community. We wanted also to serve as a link between ISSMG and the standardization efforts that was going on, collaborating with organizations like Building Smart, OGC, AGS, STIGS, and so on. We also had the goal of developing guidelines for BIM and digital twins, bridging the gap between research and practical applications. And we wanted to collaborate with other ISSMG technical committees, increasing the awareness around digital geotechnics in the society by collaborating with these technical committees. Of course, it was also important to then support international or regional conferences, encouraging the participation and organizing practice-oriented discussions during these conferences. So far, we have been very focusing on under the planned key activities, which we have seen as a very important point. And this is something I will come a little bit back to later in the presentation. So our members today we have 60 members from 21 different countries. To become a member of the TC, you have to go through your national society. It's the national society that nominates potentially members, and then there are two different types of members that you can be of the technical committee. It's the nominated members, and it's also the corresponding members. So each country can have then 2 nominated members, but they can have an unlimited amount of corresponding members. And the difference between these two member types is that the nominated members will have voting rights in potential elections. The corresponding members will not have voting rights. And this is, of course, to avoid that countries with a large amount of members can totally take over a TC. In potentially votes, elections has to be more equal organized than that. Today we have mainly members from North America, Europe, and Central Asia, and then also Australia. And we have between 1 and 11 members from each of these different countries. So it's a lot of room for more members as part of the technical committee. As mentioned and also presented by Jelena, so far we have mainly focused on information and knowledge sharing, which then have resulted in these workshops that we had earlier. These workshops has, in our eyes, been a great success. We have had several hundred participants from, I think, more than 50 different countries around the world. And the recordings we have on YouTube has so far more than 2,000 views. So this is something that we are very happy with, and we think that this has been a success, spreading knowledge about the digitalization within the geosciences. Back in April 2024, we also took part of ISSMG's webinar series, the Interactive Technical Talks. And these talks was an initiative from the sitting president of ISSMGE, where they bring together geo-professionals from around the world to discuss certain subjects of geotechnical engineering. And the subject for our session was the name of the technical committee, so it was Geotechnical BIM and DTs. And this ended in a very nice session where Mickael was representing the TC. The recording of this technical talk is available on the ISSMGE webpage. It's not, unfortunately, not available through our own YouTube channel. Among these past events, I would also like to mention the first ever physical meeting that we had during the European conference in Portugal back in August 2024. We were not too many, as you can see on the picture on the bottom right, but with 9 of 60 members present, we were at least 15% of the total amount of members that the TC have. And this was an extremely nice meeting, and it was a pleasure to finally meet some of the members physically, and learning about them and learning about their experience within BIM and digital twins. And we also had a short discussion at the end. The time went a little bit too fast, but we managed to have a short discussion at the end about future work of the TC, and then mainly focusing on potential future workshops that these members were interested in us to arrange. We did not have a own session on BIM or digital twins during the European conference in Portugal. The conference itself was not organized in that manner, but as I'll come back to, it will be a session during the international conference that is coming up next year. So our plans for 2025, the first, of course, is this workshop. As mentioned earlier, the collaboration with other committees, both inside and outside of ISSMGE, is something we really want to increase, and therefore we saw it as an important step to get to know the other digital committees within the geosciences. And we meant that this was so important that it was not only for us in the core team to have this discussion with the other committees, we wanted them also to present their status and what they're doing for all our members, and also all our known members, which is part of this workshop. During the spring, we also want to have an online member meeting. We have realized that even though we so far have succeeded with the workshop, we have to increase the interaction with the members. So that we have to find a way that at least those who want to contribute to the TC more can do this. We have to discuss this a little bit more within the core team, and we also have to discuss it with the members. But hopefully we will manage to then have more interaction and more help from the members to do the work of the TC in the future. And then we're also aiming for at least one more workshop during 2025, but we are not decided on the details or content about this one. As I mentioned, we were not having a session during the European conference of ISSMGE, but we will have a session during the international conference, which is coming up in June 2026 in Vienna. This conference is part of the series that ISSMGE has, and they have these international conferences every fourth year. The final abstract deadline for this conference was last week. I hope a lot of you managed to send in abstracts before that. And the way the conference then is arranged is that it is the national societies that approves these abstracts and also approves the upcoming papers later. But all these abstracts and papers must have 1 to 3 topics, where the topics are similar to the name of the topics of the different technical committees within ISSMGEs. It will then be up to the different technical committees to set up the different sessions and also the poster sessions. So we will definitely have a session in the international conference where this topic will be BIM and digital twins. This at least as long as there are enough papers to have a session on this. But I really hope that we have enough papers for arranging a session on BIM and digital twins. We are also aiming for having a member meeting and/or a workshop during the conference in Vienna, but we have to come back to this a little bit later. If you want to see more information about this conference, it's available on the link on the bottom here. I would also like to mention the 6th International Conference on Information Technology in Geoengineering, which is part of the conference series by GTC2, which I'm going to present later today. So it might be that I am telling stuff that other will tell later, but I think it was worth mentioning this. And this conference will be in October 2026. contribution here will be extended abstracts on 3 to 4 pages. And then some invited authors will be invited to a special issue of Underground Space and Civil Engineering Design after the conference. And the abstract submission here will be between 1st of June and 30th of November 2025. And then the registration opens in March 2026. You can find more information on the ISSMGE webpage. And this webpage was launched today, so it's really fresh and has a lot of information already, and more information will come. And the organizing companies behind this conference is then NGI and TU Graz, which is collaborating on organizing this conference. I can also say that I think the technical TC222 will definitely be on this conference, and I also think that we will have at least a member meeting, maybe also a workshop during this conference. So if you want to get in touch with us, I listed 4 QR codes, which is easy accessible to the different pages we're using. The top left one is the ISSMGE webpage, where you can find some information about the technical committee, and you can also find the contact form, and you can see more details on the ISSMGE webpage on how to become a member. The top right is the link to the YouTube channel, where the recordings from our former workshop is located. There we will also present the recordings from this workshop. Bottom left is the our LinkedIn account. We mainly use LinkedIn as a communication platform for our workshop and other stuff that we're doing. And then to the bottom right is the link to the GitHub we set up, and here you can find the PDFs of the different workshops. We asked the presenters to share these PDFs with us, and so far we have shared the majority of them, but we're still lacking a few of them. So hopefully it will be available, all the different PDFs from the different workshops later. I think that was everything from me. Thank you for the attention.
Thank you very much, Magnus. I will just share the screen again with our Slido code and with our agenda for those who would like to ask some questions, also to be able to type it in our Slido. At the moment, I can't see any questions that are here. So maybe we will just give opportunity for our colleagues to scan again the QR code and share. And if not, maybe for this presentation, and as I'm sure there are many people who are following, or I recognize already many names who have joined in multiple of our workshops, maybe I will use now opportunity to invite Vojtech, Gall, my colleague from ITA VG22. This is International Tunneling Association Working Group 22 on BIM for tunneling. Well, Vojtech, I see that your microphone is unmuted.
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning. It's now 8:30 in New York, right?
Good morning, good afternoon to all the European colleagues, and good evening to all the colleagues even further east.
Yes. Good morning, Vojtech, and thank you very much for joining. I have to say that Vojtech and I know each other for more than 10 years. We have completed our PhDs at the same institute, and I'm very fortunate that now, after so many years, we are still working. We still share same passion for digitalization of underground. And Vojtech has been doing an amazing work with Working Group 22 on writing guidelines for application of BIM standards to tunneling, because this is not a straightforward. As you can imagine, BIM is made for buildings mainly, and there is a huge gap between applying standards as they are to tunneling projects. So Vojtech is going to talk about his work with VG2 Working Group 22 in the past, I assume already 5 or more years, 5-6 years, on different standards that you have worked on, or actually guidelines on application of different standards for BIM for tunneling.
Yeah. So first of all, Jelena, and to your colleagues, Magnus and Mickael, congratulations on setting this up. I've been involved in the various, groups and other things. For example, the Young Members Group here in the U.S. for the U.S. UCA of SME, which is the U.S. Tunneling Society, and as well as the Stufa, which is the German Tunneling Society, in setting those up. And it's always difficult to get people to attend these lectures, especially online. So seeing that there's 47 people here is not a small achievement. So congrats to you guys, especially considering that this is a fairly young group, as you've just explained. So I'll share my screen. And I'm going to do something a little bit non-conventional today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a couple of slides that are just intro slides. And because this is a technical group, I'm going to actually present the document in the format that we're working on it right now and kind of scroll through the document. This goes against all the presentation guidelines that I learned from Jelena and my ex-professor back in the day at the Ruhr University. But I figure because we are, I found myself last week and yesterday going through the presentation, just copying and pasting things from the PDF onto the presentation. Figured I might as well just show the paper instead of anything else. So this talk is about the ITA, which is the International Tunneling Association BIM and Tunneling Guideline for Mechanized and Conventional Tunnels. And this is, in fact, the first revision of a document that we published in 2022. So the first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to thank all the co-contributors to this paper. As you know, these documents, for anybody who's worked in these working groups, these documents are all done in everybody's free time. So everybody who ends up spending time on these documents, it's kind of a labor of love, if you will. And that would be Wolfgang Angerer, Yuri Karlovchek from the University of Queensland, Wojciech Mleczko from Jacobs. He's been very helpful in writing this version of the document. Florent Robert, who's the animateur of the ITA Working Group 22. Jyrki Salme from the University of Oulu in Finland, which I know that Jelena has actually also published a paper with now recently. Zihao Yi, one of Jelena's PhD students, and Jacob Grasmy, a colleague of mine from the United States, who was very important in contributing to the chapter. So, to begin, the first document, to give a little bit of history, BIM is now, it's kind of a standard thing that people use. But at the same time, there are not so many guidelines for BIM. Some countries have guidelines for BIM. The first real kind of guidelines for BIM that I think meant anything were in the UK in the early 2010s with the publicly available system, PASS standards, publicly available standards, which then morphed to the ISO standards. And based on that, the ITA thought, okay, but these are all just general BIM in general. So the ITA thought, well, we need to do something BIM and tunneling. And so in 2020, 2019, a little bit pre-pandemic, the ITA Working Group 22, which is for information modeling and tunneling, now probably will be renamed to digitalization and automation at some point in time, started working on the first round of guidelines. And the first round of guidelines was focused on bored tunnels. And the reason it was focused on bored tunnels because this was a simpler use case to focus on BIM. And this was published in 2022. And the goal was really to provide an internationally applicable baseline for implementing BIM for a tunnel project for countries without BIM standards. Of course, several countries have BIM standards. For example, in Germany, you have the DAUB, the German Tunneling Committee, which publishes standards on BIM. In the UK, you have kind of a broader, this ISO framework is used. but there's a lot of practice on BIM building execution plans. So this is really meant as a simple kind of, how do you do this as a project if you want to use BIM for countries that don't have their own standards, and to put the ITA's name after it. Currently, we're working on the second version of this. In fact, the draft is finished and the draft is being reviewed. Previously, this was being published only by the ITA. Now there's a new publication process going through TUST, the Tunneling and Underground Space Technology, and this is in the review process right now. The goal of doing a second revision of this document is to address things that were missed in the first version of the document, to expand the previous guideline to include conventional tunnels. And this is intended also to be more helpful and informative. So essentially taken more from a user who's not familiar with BIM. How do I do BIM for a tunnel project? Okay, read this document. This is how I can do this. And just as a quick introductory slide before I jump to the document itself, the highlighted cases or the highlighted items are items that were completely revamped or added completely for the new guideline. So what we've done is we've added a glossary section to clarify some sort of glossary terminology, because all of these, as you know, working in engineering, we love to use acronyms, and sometimes it's very important to be consistent with the acronyms. So we needed to add this section there to not make it confusing. We've added a bunch of use cases, which I'll get more in detail later about what these are for those of you who maybe are super BIM literate. We've added a draft BIM execution plan, more level of information need tables, and we've added a bunch of information on contractual aspects and geotechnics, which is probably more interesting for this topic here, and also how to model conventional tunnels. So with that, I'm going to jump to the document. This is the general, and is this big enough for everybody, Jelena? Should I zoom in or?
My screen is relatively large, but I assume that if someone is watching on the laptop, that might be a bit small. So maybe if it would be just one page on the screen would be easier.
Here we go. And let's hope that nobody's watching on a cell phone. Yeah. And again, I apologize for the presentation concept, but I hope, because this is a technical session, I'm trying to get as much technical knowledge across as possible, henceforth presenting the document. And just for everybody's information, this will be made available online with the ITA Working Group 22 website for anybody who's interested once it's published through the ITA, which should be sometime later this year. So again, we go through the introduction. We provide an introduction of what BIM is. We develop a BIM terminology and glossary. We go into asset and project information management. We discuss BIM use cases. We provide a BIM execution plan. And then we discuss various other BIM topics before providing a framework for how to develop a BIM model with some basic, that is capable of fulfilling some basic use cases for both bored tunnels and conventional tunnels. And then we discuss how to develop a BIM model for ground that can be incorporated in, so a geotechnical model that can be incorporated in your BIM modeling scheme. And then finally, we discuss some other issues: sustainability, classification, exchange data formats, and also BIM for tunnels used in mining. So to begin, and I'll just provide this for, as the Brits would say, apologize if I'm teaching my grandmother to suck eggs, but I will provide a quick rehash of what we're working with as the basis for BIM. So the ISO definition, the International Standard Organization, is the use of a shared digital representation of built asset to facilitate design, construction, and operation process to form a reliable basis for decision. However, this is quite a broad definition. Hence, we've tried to provide an interpretation for the practicing engineer as the working group 22, and we've defined it as a process that involves the generation and management of project and asset information using digital representations of physical and functional characteristics. This process is supported by various digital tools and software, as well as by contractual information management agreements. For this reason, in current practical usage, BIM is often used as an umbrella term to describe the use of any number of digital tools, such as, but not limited to, 3D modeling, schedule and cost modeling, computational design, visualization, class detection, etc. And the reason we provided this is for those of you familiar with BIM, is that BIM in the UK context is really just the implementation of ISO, making an information management framework, not necessarily needing 3D visualizations, right? It's more so about an information flow process. In our experience, it always is supported with 3D visualizations, but the core is an information management process. Who makes decisions when, and who has what information when, versus, for example, in the United States and certain other countries, BIM is really the application of Revit or BIM Tunnel Modeler, for example, and that's how organizations see it. And so therefore, these are a little bit two conflicting principles. We have to address both in an international guideline. BIM terminologies and glossary. We support the ISO 19650 series, which is the ISO series on building information modeling. The ISO series, because it's very abstract, it has terms like appointing party, appointed party, assets, because it's all essentially dealing with who appoints which organization to develop which information and who controls that information at which point in time, rather than this is how we make a tunnel model, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And there's also some confusing terminology with level of definition, level of information need, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Once that's all done, we discuss very slowly asset and project information management. The concept in the organization is that there's asset information and project information, project being while a piece of infrastructure is being built or maintained or while a project is going on, versus asset information is the information concerning that piece of infrastructure while it's being used. And we discussed that these two things should interact and one should be aware of these interactions. So theoretically, anytime we're doing a project information model, so BIM for a project, whatever information requirements we have of that project should be informed by the information requirements that the asset has during its use and operation. There's a short chapter on this. We have a long discussion of BIM use cases. And in addition to the BIM use cases, what we've done is we've developed a use case table. And apologies if I bring this up really quickly. And so for those of you not familiar with the terminology, use cases, or the way we're using it here in this BIM context, use cases are, why are you developing a BIM model, right? And so what we've done is we've taken an international kind of survey, figured out what project stages there are, and developed use cases for which BIM models or BIM schemes can be used during those project cases. And our general methodology is saying, hey, listen, the most important thing for a BIM model is at the very beginning of a project, define what you want to use the BIM model for before you start doing the BIM model, because if you don't do that, it will become unnecessarily complex. So this is one of the appendices with various use cases that we provide. Moving through, we discuss the information management process and responsibilities in adherence to the ISO framework. And we describe the BIM execution plan. The BIM execution plan, it has various names. Sometimes they have slightly variants of this. It's a document that explains how BIM will be used within a project framework or within an asset framework. And it's essentially the contractual document that defines BIM's implementation within a project. And what we do, and this is a new revision, is we provide an example contents of a BIM execution plan. For example, standard and reference documents, the BIM governance structure, i.e. the authority of the BEP within the context of the project, the goals of the project's BIM implementation. Why are you using BIM? Don't just use BIM for the sake of using BIM. Why are you using BIM? Key roles and responsibilities, employers' information problems, data management and exchange process, i.e. what programs are going to be used and which data will these share program, the software, description of the BIM modeling process, to which level of information are you going to deliver things, quality control and assurance, training plan, cyber, and BIM deliverables. So this really structures a project's BIM implementation. That's why we felt that it was important to include this, which wasn't in the original revision. We talk a little bit about model interoperability and common data environments, making sure that, for example, all the tunnel geotechnical models, the existing survey, road, utilities, alignment, tunnel drainage, tunnel models all have to tie into one thing. And we discussed the concept of a federated model. So, you know, a lot of people thinking about BIM from the outside think you do one model with a bunch of different things, but in reality, the idea is to create different models for different disciplines that then get combined into a federated model, and that can then interdependently become clash detected, for example, so that you can do a MEP model and compare the MEP with the structural model to make sure that your standpipes are not running into your tunnel lining, because if they are, either you have to make a hole or you have a bigger problem than you thought you did. To this end, we also discussed the level of information need. The level of information need is a description of when which items in a BIM context needs to be modeled. So in order to achieve, for example, clash detection, if that's your goal, then you need to know at least your geometrical frameworks or your geometrical envelope of your structures that are underground. And you need to know that, for example, in different disciplines. So this is focused on the civil discipline, but what we've done is we've developed tables that have certain items, objects in the BIM context, and we provide recommendations based on a basic BIM concept where the goals are really clash detection and 3D modeling, when these objects should be defined at which design stage. And what we've done is we've really done this for the bored tunnel, for the conventional tunnel, and for ground. And the idea is that this is a minimum standard so that we don't gunk up the BIM processes. And this can be adopted or not adopted as one wants. And now, just cognizant of time, the most important thing probably of this whole document is the modeling approach for bored tunnels and for conventional tunnels. So with any BIM model, first you have to develop a modeling scheme. What we propose here, or what we are proponents of, is to develop a modeling scheme that doesn't gunk up the process too much or complicate the process. So in the bored tunnel, what we've proposed is to say, okay, listen, instead of having individual ring segmentation, so individual segments for a ring along the whole length of the tunnel, a more efficient approach is, especially in the design phases, so in the project phase, is to just model the shell as it is. You can model, if you'd like, preventive, indicative segmentation, but to rather have the shell reference a segment model, and that shell essentially just outline the envelope, and that segment model have all the details. Or so we're calling it a ring model here, yeah. And the ring model consists of the segments. And one of the reasons why we make these recommendations is that for those of you who are involved in tunneling projects, is that when you're using these detailed models, you always have the tendency that when you model something, it seems like it's real. But ring segmentation and the location of the segments is something that really always shifts while you're constructing the tunnel. There's always some ring roll, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and some corrections. And therefore, our whole concept is to not introduce too many errors in the model before you've actually built the thing. So that's our concept for the bored tunnels. It's a simple concept. for the for sequentially excavated tunnels, so by means of the sprayed concrete lining method in the UK, or the NATM, New Austrian Tunneling Method, or NUT in Central Europe, we recommend that you separate your support structures as envelopes, so all your rock bolts and so on and so forth, from the regular lining. And the reason being that for most reasons, these BIM models are being used for clash detection, and this ensures that you have a model that's easy to develop, so that you're not spending time putting in these rock bolts, which of course will also change location, but still be able to detect clashes, because the envelope represents the outer layer of these rock bolts. So if you're in a city environment, building a subway, for example, in Munich, and you need to check if your rock bolts maybe detect clash with some foundation piles, this should serve the purpose. And we also say, if you want to do it this way, by all means do it, but no necessity. We discuss overbreak and underbreak and how to deal with those in a BIM context. And then after that, we talk about ground modeling. So the most important aspect that we discuss, just scrolling through to see if we have a nice picture in ground modeling, but we do not, I'm noticing right now. So the most important thing that we discuss is the delineation of that in a ground model, the delineation of data should be such that there's a very clear data, which is factual data, interpreted data, and design data. Factual data being the actual borings and the actual test results. Interpreted data being geotechnical interpretations, or also layers, and then design data being group book C, also called the design report or design model, being the model that's used for the design purposes. So what are the assumptions that we've made in design? And the reason that this is important to distinguish is A, because it's important for us as engineers to know what's actual real data and what isn't, but B, also because it has contractual implementations. Yeah, and because it has contractual implementations, we've also contractual aspects. Also added a section on contractual aspects that discusses, for example, the GBR, which is frequently used outside in the US and outside of the US, and the geotechnical data. So the GBR would essentially be a contractual framework, and the geotechnical data report would represent actual factual information. Now, just cognizant of the time, and realizing that this is a 55-page document, we also provide the different formats that we can use in geotechnical data. And then after that, we discuss various other topics. For example, how sustainability can be interpreted into a BIM model, different classification systems, different exchange data formats, and then lastly, how BIM for tunnels can be used in mining. And this is essentially just a translation of how projects are run in a mining context with projects that are run in an infrastructure context, and to how to translate those use cases. And with that, I would say for any more information, I would say please look online, and hopefully I'm still somewhat within the time limit, Jelena. Maybe a couple minutes over.
No, you're perfectly in time, and we also have a couple of minutes for some questions online. So first question is, of course, where these documents can be found online. So maybe if you would also share the link to your working group page and the page where these documents are uploaded, because some of our colleagues here on the call are interested to take a more detailed look at this. So thanks for sharing. So for everyone who would like to see and look at first document on bored tunnels, this is already uploaded in 2022. And the second document on conventional tunneling, as Vojtech said, will be coming within this year. Second question is, first of all, congratulations, Vojtech and team, great work. And a question is if these recommendations are complemented with repository with examples of models and data structures.
You know, this is one of the discussions that we've had at the ITA working group level quite often. The data structures, not so much, not yet. But what we'd like to do at some point in time, this may be the next step, is to essentially develop project briefs of how BIM has been implemented in various tunnel projects internationally, whether it's the US, the UK, mainland Europe, you know, China, the Middle East, Hong Kong, Australia, and then descriptions of the interactions. So in realistic terms, data structures for BIM in these mega engineering projects, or in my experience, is you're either using programs, so the Revits, the Bentleys, which have interoperability within themselves, or the engineers essentially use simple programming languages, whether it's Python or the built-in programming languages where Revit and Bentley come with, to develop export-import formats or scripts to be able to export and import data between whichever programs exist. And this will be coming at some point in time, but the working groups take a lot of time, so don't expect it to come for for maybe a year or something like that.
Yes, I mean, maybe this is also a good opportunity for everyone kind of together, because as you say, you are working on these documents and these recommendations in your free time. So this is a work for the community. This is actually a service for the community. And one thing what we could think of is creating these libraries with common geotechnical components, for example, because we have a bunch of libraries for buildings, for different elements, but maybe a common library for geotechnical components could be also a nice contribution from different sides of our communities. The third question is, do you provide detailed specifications of level of details for different components and level of information, or this is referred to other recommendations such as DAUB?
So we provide these level of information need tables as appendices, yeah, and they're very simplified and they're based on the heavy civil elements. So I'm not a mechanical electrical specialist, and that of course changes much more for what the use of the tunnel is, right? If you have a transit tunnel, so a road tunnel versus a train tunnel, it's going to have much different installations. And so we do provide tables, and we provide an indication of where these objects, at which project stage these objects should be modeled. And this is just to provide an indication. But the general tone of the document is to say, listen, we provide the use cases. This is what you can use BIM programs for. Before you set up a BIM program for your project or for your asset, figure out what you want to use BIM for, and then develop a bespoke implementation for those use cases that you've decided are important. And the level of information need tables that we provide are essentially for the models that we provide, and those models are able to provide quantity takeoffs on the heavy civil elements and provide a clash detection for the heavy civil elements between each other and between other disciplines if those are to be modeled. And so we try to make that very clear that the modeling approach that we develop and the level of information need tables that we provide are for a basic BIM model, if you will, that can fulfill these two most common use cases.
Yes, I understand. It's rather how to use BIM to run, how to use this report to run a BIM project rather for a specific modeling of the geometry. So it's the purpose of the document is to how to run a project using BIM, Building Information Modeling Framework, rather than the technical part of actually creating 3D models. So which maybe has been specifically more specifically detailed in some other recommendations. Well, thank you very much, Vojtech, and please keep around, because at the end of the session we would like to also invite you to a group discussion. So thanks for your presentation and for your great work.
Thank you.
So I'm going just again to share the screen with our agenda. And the next on our agenda is our colleague from ISSMGE Technical Committee 309 on machine learning, Zhongqiang Liu, also from NGI. Can you please join us on the call? And actually, we are already here, but maybe while you're sharing the presentation, hello, how are you?
Hi, Jelena. Can you hear me?
Thanks. Yes, we can hear you very well. Thanks for accepting to come and share work of your technical committee. I was also attending some conferences where co-organized by your committee lead. So I'm very much impressed with your work. So we can see also your screen. Maybe you can just share it as a full screen.
Sure, I just do it.
Yes, thank you very much. And we are looking forward to hear more about the work of your technical committee on machine learning in geotechnical engineering. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jelena. Hello, everybody. So first of all, thank you, Jelena, Magnus, and our colleagues from TC222 for putting up this joint community. It's a great opportunity for us to discuss our common interest on digital geotechnics. So today I am just presenting TC309 on behalf of the core group and all community members. So I'm very happy to discuss potential collaborations with all communities here. I think Magnus has walked through all these activities they have done. Is quite impressive, and I'm basically following the similar structure. So I walk through our activities within TC309, and if you want to have any details, we can discuss in the Q&A session or the panel session at the end. So Magnus also presented the structure of ISSMGE. So I have this picture on the slide, shows the board, ISSMGE board. So it is consisting of the president, Dr. Magnus, and also the immediate past the president, Professor Charles Ng, and also the vice president from 6 different regions, and several appointed board members as well. As Magnus also informed us, we have around 90 member societies with a lot of individual members from 90 member societies. And at the moment, we have 37 technical communities, and we also have 7 board level technical communities. So TC309 is one of the technical communities within ISSMGE. A little bit information about TC309. So basically, for all new technical communities, we should make a proposal, and we should explain why we make this technical community. So basically, for TC309, so at the board meeting and the ISSMGE conference in South Korea, in Seoul, the ISSMGE president, so the past president, Professor Charles Ng, he initiated a new direction for machine learning within ISSMGE. Basically, what we want to make use of the latest data analytics and future and further enhance big data research and management in geotechnical engineering. So that's why, in line with this initiative, so the Norwegian Geotechnical Institute and Norwegian Geotechnical Society, we propose the terms of reference. Basically, is a proposal for a new ISSMGE technical community on machine learning and big data. And the proposal was approved in December 2017, right before the Christmas. And we started to establish this technical community from early January 2018. So as of now, we have more than 90 members from over 20 countries and regions in TC09. So it's a very popular community within ISSMGE. And with myself as the chair of the TC309, and Dr. Mohammed Rizina from University of Warwick as vice chair, and Dr. Dongming Zhang from Tongji University in China as the secretary. We also have a full nominated member in the co-team of the technical community, and the other we have nominated and cross-funding members as Magnus explained. So for all technical communities with ISSMGE, we have a standard terms of reference. So we have these 4 objectives. We have a dissemination plan. We have our guideline and recommendations plan. We have our own conference assistance, and the final one is to how we build up the gap between academic and industry. So basically, all TORs of technical communities are organized under these 4 objectives provided in the ISSMGE guidelines for technical communities. For TC09, so we have been organizing quite a few activities in lines with this TOR. So basically, we have developed our guidelines, and we have developed the state-of-art reviews. We formed our own conference, and we reach out to industry as well to just have a discussion about how we apply or utilize machine learning in our real-life geotechnical problems. So first of all, I would like to mention this conference formed by TC09. It is named International Symposium on Machine Learning and Big Data in Geoscience. So it started at the NGI in 2018, right after we established the technical community. For this conference, basically is a dedicated workshop. We have around 50 participants in the first workshop, and we discussed all our potential interest on machine learning in geotechnical applications. And then we basically started our second conference in Shanghai. So we can see in the left hand and picture here. So we end up with around 200 participants for the second conference, and then even during pandemic, we conducted the third one in Poland. So we end up with around 150 participants, both online and physically. And then 2 years ago, 2023, we hosted the fourth one in Ireland, and we attracted about 200 participants as well. So basically, what we want to utilize all this conference is to share our knowledge and learn from our professional. And the conference for sure is a very important way in which people can make and develop connections with our colleagues. So with the professional community as well. So we say it's a very good opportunity for all of us to connect with others and share our recent developments. So the 5th conference will take place in Hong Kong in the May of 2026 next year. So if you are interested in these activities we have within TC09, please mark your calendar. I'm sure it's a very interesting conference for most of our colleagues who are working with machine learning, digital twin, BIM. So we share our common knowledge, And for sure, Hong Kong is an amazing city where you can find a lot of attractions and nice food. While you participate in the conference, it's also a good opportunity to explore the city as well. And as another event what we had, so basically in 2019, we carried out this survey on machine learning in geotechnics. The aim is to say where we are and where we could develop more and what's the barriers for the machine learning applications in geotechnics and say. So basically, we want to figure out the directions for all of us in geotechnical engineering to utilize machine learning. And the first question basically we were asking is, what do we think the major barriers to using machine learning and artificial intelligence to geotechnical engineering? So, and not surprisingly, the majority has selected insufficient data. So in geotechnical engineering, as we all know, very good quality data do not always exist freely. Condition surely limits the application of machine learning algorithms. However, it's expected that in the near future, this limitation may be overcome by the growing availability of geotechnical data initiated by both large infrastructure projects or research projects. So we can say there is a positive trend in this direction. And interestingly, we also had this question about what's the machine learning applications that can transfer value for industry in the next 10 years. Now I think we are in the middle. It's about 6 years now. And the survey highlighted that machine learning is expected to have a very significant impact on monitoring and the observational method, site characterization, hazard and risk management, and material modeling in the coming decade. And site characterization is one of the leading areas where machine learning can transfer practice over the next 10 years. And another event I would like to mention is this machine learning in geotechnics dialogue. So basically, what we want to develop is to discuss the opportunities and the challenges in developing and applying machine learning to geotechnical engineering research and practice. So the format of this dialogue is always like we develop our participants into the different groups, and we discuss different aspects. For instance, in the first machine learning dialogue that was taking place in Shanghai, combined with the TC222 conference. So the participants share their insights on data availability, machine learning implementation, applications of machine learning in geotechnical engineering, and the values of and the future of machine learning. So we discuss different aspects in different groups. Then we summarize all these discussions, and we published all these discussions and the summaries in either ISSMGE bulletin or other channels. And in the same year, we had the second one. So basically, it's a continuation of the first dialogue. So basically, we shared our insights and we summarized the outcome and the summary of the first dialogue, and we discussed the gaps between industry and also the academia. And the third one, basically, we have to carry out online. It was during pandemic. But for this one, we learned from the previous two dialogues that we should define a clear focus for the machine learning, for this kind of machine learning dialogue. So that's why we carry out the third machine learning in geotechnics dialogue. we have a very specific topic for this dialogue. So it's about data-driven site characterization, and we all know the understanding the ground truth through site characterization is still remaining a very important application area in geotechnical engineering. And then it's followed by the fourth one and the latest one in Chengdu last year. So you can find all these summaries in either ISSMGE bulletin, or sometimes we published our report in journals. For instance, for the third machine learning dialogue, we published a summary in ISSMGE bulletin, and we published the report in the Journal of GeoRisk. I won't go into all the details of these dialogues, but if you are interested, you can find all these documents freely from the journal and from the ISSMGE bulletin. And as we all know, our next generation is the future of our geotechnics, and also they are motivated to use and to explore data science, machine learning. So that's why we initiated this student contest on data analytics. So this joint effort between ISSMGE TC222 on GeoRisk and the TC222 on machine learning. So last year we had the 8th ISSMGE student contest. So basically for this student contest, we define a topic and we share the data, and we ask the participants as a group to solve the problem and to present their result in the conferences. So basically then we evaluate their results and we give credit to their efforts. And another important thing I would like to mention is the task forces. This is an important event within ISSMGE technical communities. As we all know, ISSMGE work so basically is volunteer based. So we have to use our own time or use our own effort to make all these activities happen. So that's why we would like to engage our community members to different activities. So basically, at the moment, we have 7 technical forces within TC222. As I said, the main aim is to encourage our community members to participate in these different angles and share their insights as well. So basically, as you can see, we start with benchmark data set and big data collections. As we all know, without data, there's no possibility to use any kind of machine learning algorithms. And with recent development, as you can see, we also have a physics-informed data-driven method and also generative AI in geotechnical engineering practice. Just as an example, so within physics-informed data-driven method, we end up with a very nice article on physics-informed machine learning in geotechnical engineering. So it's basically a review paper. It's a direct, we call it a direction paper. So we reviewed all our the previous studies on PIML in geotechnical engineering, covering different aspects in geotechnical engineering. So you can see there a long list of co-authors, and our task forces members have been contributing a lot to make this paper. And another important thing is that we need to make guidelines and industry links. So basically, ISSMGE is not only doing this stuff and we need to apply our methodology to the practice to solve our real life problems. To be honest, we are not there yet. So we haven't made any guideline or industry standards, but we are aiming to collaborate with those standard organizations like ISO and other organizations to make a specific guideline for geotechnical applications. So just want to mention this ISO guideline. It could be relevant and very interesting for geoscience colleagues as well. And then since the new boat was established, and the ISSMGE, they started this new initiative. It's called Interactive Technical Talks. So basically, the aim is to bring together geo-professionals from around the world, young and senior, from both the academia and industry, to discuss a certain subject of geotechnical engineering. So TC09, we did one ITT talk, so with a focus on machine learning. So we have our senior Professor KK Peng from Singapore, and we also have some young colleagues from different organizations, and we had a very nice discussion, and the discussion basically was led by the ISSMGE president, Dr. Mickael. I think this is the last slide I want to share. So ISSMGE, we have honor lectures, as some of you might know, and this year, or starting from last year, TC09 proposed an honor lecture. So then we started the process, and first of all we engaged our community members to vote on the names of the honor lecture. As we all know, TC09 is relatively new, even is a bit older than TC222 or DD3, and we don't have a good name or very senior colleague. So that's why we initiated three genetic names, like intelligent geotechnics, machine learning, and data-centric geotechnics. So our community members, especially our nominated members, they vote for the name of the honor lecture. Then we end up with intelligent geotechnics with a majority vote from our community members. And the honor lecture hosted by TC09 was approved by ISSMGE board last week, January 16th. So this is another significant milestone for TC09. Yes, I think that's all from my side.
Thank you, Zhongqiang, for very inspiring talk. Also, huge work that you have done in past now 5 years and more. And I have also participated in some of your events for the conference in Cork. I was one of the keynote speakers.
Yeah,
and I really
remembered, yes.
I really like this very vibrant community. So we have 2 questions here, and I think one of the questions you partially answered already, and this is regarding the benchmark. So does TC309 collect the share benchmarks for data sets and models for different applications of machine learning for various geotechnical problems? So you mentioned that you have one task force on benchmarks, but maybe the question is whether you have some repository with these benchmarks and data sets.
Yes, now we are creating repository now, and you can find some of our data set on TC304 website or webpage. So there we shared our common effort, because I would say quite a few are technical community members. They are also technical committee member in TC04. So what I would like to mention is that probably if you are interested in different domains, you can apply membership for a couple of different technical communities. So not only for one technical community. And we are now creating a Zenodo repository as well for TC09. And we will publish all these benchmark data sets pretty soon.
So we are looking forward to it, and maybe it would be nice, once it's published, to share information, a newsletter, and then we can share it also with the members of our technical committee, because I'm sure there is lots of interest. Because machine learning is actually what bridges BIM and digital twins at the end of the day. So without machine learning, we cannot have this real-time response and predictions. Sure. And the second question is about the competition. And again, congratulations on the idea, because this is actually what engages young students. Yeah. And will you organize the competition next year? And how students can join the contest? Again, is this limited maybe only to just your TC members, or is it widely open to the community?
No, it's open to the public. Mm-hmm. And the next student contest will take place in Oslo, actually. So we have the conference in August, late August. It's called ISSGSR, International Symposium on Geotechnical Safety and Risk. We will host the 9th student contest.
Okay, and is this only for participants of the conference, or will this be open maybe also for participants across the world?
No, we open the contest to everybody, so people can participate online as well.
Okay, it would be great maybe also to share the link in the chat. Sure. Because some of our participants here in the call might be interested to join the contest. Well, thank you very much also for being on time. Now we should come to our last speaker, Professor Hehua Zhu. However, they have informed us that he had an emergency and unfortunately could not join the call. Therefore, instead of having our let me see that to share our screen. What we are going to do now instead, I would like to invite all our speakers. I think maybe Zhongqiang, you can again switch on your camera, and I would also like to invite Magnus and Vojtech and Mickael on the open discussion, and maybe to share future events. I mean, we already talked about some of the events, or mentioned some of the events, but like the ways how our communities could come together, collaborate, maybe support each other. So Vojtech, I hope you're around. And of course, our Slido questionnaire is still open, so anyone on the call can also join the Slido and ask a question. First of all, Magnus, you have mentioned several conferences that are coming in this year and next year. So maybe you can share what are the plans of TC and maybe whether there is opportunity to have a broader discussion. Zhongqiang mentioned that in the past conferences, they have really intensive discussions and created task forces. Is there maybe opportunity to meet some of our groups and broaden these discussions?
Yes, first of all, thank you, Zhongqiang and Vojtech, for very nice presentations. That was very interesting and also inspiring for us in TC222. Yes, as I mentioned, next year there will be a couple of conferences where we will be physical and attending, and are planning to have some sort of meeting or workshops. And I think these occasions definitely should be something that we should maybe also try to have some interaction with these other technical committees. I know Zhongqiang is one of the organizers for the ISSMGE conference in Graz, together with Georgi Erharter and also professors from TU Graz. So that will could be a session where we can have some sort of collaborations between us, because as you also mentioned, Jelena, the machine learning and the digital twins, they are linked very strongly together. So if you can manage to have some sort of collaboration here, that would be really, really nice.
Yes, I think I agree that this is a great opportunity, and that colleagues from both machine learning and BIM will be joining the conference. So maybe that this would be opportunity to maybe discuss about some streamlines on how to actually link better BIM and the machine learning into this perspective digital twin workflows, because we know that in many geotechnical applications we need a real-time response, and we need both models and data, and then working together and good visualization. So definitely, I think that this sounds like a very promising idea.
Yeah, we need the big data for the BIM models, and then based on the BIM models, we need machine learning for the digital twins part. So it's very, very like bound together. The work of these two theses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can say there's a great opportunity for us at ISSMGE, because GTC2 is the main host of this conference, and TC09 and TC222, we are very active in organizing this conference as well.
Another thing that I have noticed is that you had, at least in 309, you have quite intense discussions on streamlining, basically, because machine learning is applied now everywhere, but you do a good work in trying to create some streamlines and also publishing papers. And Vojtech also mentioned that new guidelines for tunneling will be also published in TAST, tunneling and underground space technology. And then I was wondering, because our communities are relatively large, and they have both researchers and practitioners, but everyone using cutting edge technology, whether our communities could together initiate maybe some special issue in a journal and invite participants from all three members to try to have actually this spectrum of machine learning, BIM, and digital twins for geotechnical applications. Do you think that there would be interest from your communities, Vojtech and Zhongqiang?
Yeah,
sure.
I think it's a great idea. But to actually, I mean, TC09 members, we have organized a number of special issues in different journals. So I think that's a good idea to co-organize this special issue with both TC30, TC222 and ITA work group. So we have a common interest. So we just need to define a common topic for this special issue.
Yes, and maybe common topic and more also suitable venue.
Yeah.
And I know also Vojtech working group 222 is also having a subgroup or task force that is related to machine learning, if I'm correct. So so again, this could be opportunity to have all three streams, BIM, machine learning, and digital twins all together. Best examples of practice and research, maybe within one special issue. It could be maybe related to a conference, or could be generally established and then related to several conferences in order to invite more participants for this special issue. For instance, Vojtech, I know that common for VG22 is very common to meet on VTC. If I'm correct. And this year VTC will be organized in May. in Stockholm, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe
Correct.
this could be opportunity to invite already people from VTC who are submitting conference papers to join this this special issue, and maybe also demonstrate, initiate actually some collaboration that might result in something more in the future.
Yeah, sure. Happy to support. There's a lot of people that are from the working group 22 that are coming from academia. I mean, Jelena, you know Yuri.
Yes.
At the very least, Yuri is always under the pressure to publish. So at the very least, we can count on him for something.
Yes. So I mentioned Vojtech also working group 22 meets at VTC. Are there also some other common venues where maybe communities from our technical committees can see you?
I'm thinking, I mean, there's always, if somebody happens to be the United States, there's always the, so I'm also the chair of the working group on BIM and digital twins and digitization for the United States Tunnel Organization. And we meet in the US conferences, but I also, which are essentially the North American Tunneling Congress and the Rapid Excavation and Tunneling Congress, which are tunneling focused. So if anybody happens to be over in the US for these, you know, please reach out to me. But other than that, Jelena, maybe, you know, the UK always seems to be a Drehtür, as we would say in German. So I think that the UK is really one of the better places to actually meet people from, you know, North America and continental Europe at the same time. And you would probably have a better lay of the land of what's happening in the UK with the BTS tunnel conferences and so on and so forth.
Yes, well, there are many opportunities to meet. You are right, because UK is somehow in the middle, and then many. On one hand, UK. On the other hand, we have now lots of events in Hong Kong as well, including the next 2026 conference on machine learning, or the workshop. So one of the nice events where I know many people from interested in digital engineering and machine learning in geotechnics will gather this year is a Rankin lecture, where Professor Konichi Soga is going to deliver this year's Rankin lectures. And I know last year that there was over 700 participants from across the world who came to visit this lecture. So this is one of the events where many people will come. Yeah, generally we are organizing many workshops. 2 years ago, here in Birmingham, actually, there was a workshop on future of subsurface. That large of the part of the future of subsurface included digitalization from different aspects, modeling, machine learning, intelligent sensing, and so on. And this was a joint workshop between UK and US, 30 researchers and experts from practice from UK, and 30 from US were all gathering here to basically discuss the future of subsurface. And there is a report which came out of this discussion, which I can share also within our chat. So yeah, there will be opportunities, but the problem is always physical distance. So these workshops like this one are also a nice opportunity to meet and to bridge this distance barrier. And maybe, as I mentioned, I'm going to follow up with all of you after this meeting about proposal for this maybe special issue, where we can also have some tangible outputs out of our work, and you know, like one maybe a rounded set of papers that will cover different aspects of BIM and digital twin in geotechnical engineering, tunneling, ground engineering, whatsoever. So yeah. Mickael, is there anything from the Central Europe that you would like to add on this?
No, I really appreciated the presentation that were very interesting and offer a lot of other opportunity to meet new people and work together. I just found that, yeah, with BIM and also machine learning, AI, you are consumers of geotech data. There is a big interest, I suppose, for you to have them standardized and have it well described and of big quality. So that might be something we may work together, because this will be needed in order to have digital twins about maybe tunnel, maybe the environment of the tunnel. So clearly with JTC2, that's something we share, and we can emphasize and work together, because we are not enough. We are not. We miss other people to work on this. So yeah, it would be very nice.
Jelena, what you need to do is you need to assign a PhD student to each one of us so that we can get our papers written.
Good idea, and especially because some of you come from very successful firms, can also fund these PhD studentships.
There you go. There you go.
Yes, no, of course. I mean, we have PhD students are extremely motivated, and you know, like they are actually this driving force of research and innovation, and they are thirsty for challenging applications, for data, and also for experienced people from community also to define them problems, because what they don't know maybe at the beginning of their PhDs is the problem. They don't have access to data. And I think that this is the synergy between the experience and the leadership and them who are actually delivering the actual work is something that will result in hopefully transforming underground for better.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, would you like to add something as a closing remark for this workshop? Maybe I can start from my left to right, Vojtech.
Yeah, no, I think actually the last comment that you made about PhD students looking for problems to solve, I remember very much, you know, doing the PhD, or us doing our PhD together, being much more on the computational mechanics side of things rather than on the tunneling side of things. We were always looking for problems to solve with the tools that we were developing, rather than developing tools to solve problems that exist. And I think that, you know, especially, you know, forums like these give us an opportunity, or for example, our work with Zihao in this ITA working group document helps give you know, that connection between the industry and research. So I think Jelena, in this special issue, if you really plan on following through with this, I think maybe we should organize some sort of another discussion to really chat about what topics one could publish about, to make sure that the academic side is answering problems that actually exist instead of just developing methods without problems, and also to give the practice side the background and the gravity that you need to actually publish academic publications, right? This is what's always missing in practical engineering. You don't necessarily have the time to do a double check or a triple check of your sources and make sure that what you're saying is really true and has really looked at all aspects of things. So I think hopefully that becomes if we can do something like that, happy to support you.
Yeah, I think that there is definitely a gap currently in a published work in a kind of a synchronized way where things are published together from BIM digital twin and machine learning together. And as you said, there is a lot of focus on academic side, but not maybe to answer burning practical questions. And I have seen actually papers from different disciplines where the community gathered and defined the unsolved problem in certain disciplines. So maybe this could be kind of a platform to start making list of these questions to be solved. You know, like, and these questions could be actually topics for PhD students for their dissertations and their work. So I think that our communities could definitely work on making this list of questions and problems to be solved, as well as you know, like making sure that they have high academic standards to be publishable in journals. Magnus, would you also like to add something? Just having the closing remarks for the round table.
Yeah, closing remarks. No, but I think like this has been a very inspiring workshop for me and I think for our TC to discuss and to learn about what the other TCs have been doing. As I mentioned in our presentation, we have to kind of broaden the work we have been, also broaden the work in our future compared to what we have been doing. So in that sense, this was very inspiring, and I hope that we can find some ways to collaborate with both Vojtech's and Zhongqiang's committees in the future. And yeah, so this has been a very nice session.
Thank you very much, Mickael.
Yeah, I was looking at the chat while some people were sharing meeting opportunities, and I was thinking that everything is happening in 2026 for ISSMGE, but there are other opportunities and that were shared here, so that's very nice to see that. Also, Rie from Japan share what has been done in 2023. She's also involved in the activities of WG22, if I'm right. So that's where, and thanks to such people that are in both communities, like also you are, Jelena, that we will be able to build something nice. So I'm very happy that we managed to have this meeting, and I hope this will be the first one of other meetings with all of us.
Absolutely, and thank you for following the chat, and everyone will be also later on able to follow these links and look at these events. Zhongqiang, maybe a closing remark also from your side.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting and fruitful workshop today. Thank you for your efforts again. I can say we have different angles in our communities, and we also have our common interest. So what I learned today is basically TC222, you have organized very successful online workshops, so where you can attract participants from all over the world. So it's not easy for everybody to participate in conferences physically, It's very expensive and very time consuming as well. And what I learned from Vojtech is that these guidelines, we should basically, from ISSMGE side, I think we should push this. So I think both TC309 and TC222, we should have some common efforts, and together with ITA work group to make such a guideline, which is very useful and helpful for our geotechnical applications. Yeah, so that's what I want to say.
Yes, it's very much true, and I support and echo everything what you've said so far from the beginning until the end. And it was really nice to meet you all and to share such a good work and also continuous work of your communities, and also service to our community and passion for digitalization. So thank you very much for that, and also thank you for working on structuring this sometimes very chaotic field, and this is what we need also with work of your committees on streamlining machine learning, or work on recommendations for use of guidelines for tunneling. This is actually trying to make some structure and like try to avoid the confusion that we often see in both BIM and machine learning in our applications, because everyone knows that they need to do it, but they don't know how. Then with the pressure of deadlines, people tend to do it quick and dirty, and having these structures and also having these workshops to educate the community across the world, I think it gives opportunity to streamlines, and hopefully I think we are going to advance our field in the future with the work that we are doing. So thank you very much for joining. It was great seeing you, and this workshop is recorded, and hopefully we have your permission also to publish your presentations on our YouTube channel. We would also like to invite you to share your presentation with us to publish the presentation, or even, I don't know, Vojtech, which stage of the report is, but we can share something on our GitHub for our participants to look at. And with that, I would like to thank you, and I hope to see you soon, either online or in person. And I hope I will push this idea of this special issue, and I will certainly be in touch with you about that. And I will invite also all our participants to look after and maybe have contributions to it. Thank you very much, all.
Thanks, Jelena, for organizing everything, and to everyone else.
Yeah, thank you
very
everybody.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Enjoy your
Have
day.
a nice
Bye.
day, everyone. Bye-bye.